I can't leave the NFC out in the cold. That'd just be poor diligence on my part. That's why this video is also sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. Week 1 of the NFL season is here, which means it's time to say goodbye to our loved ones for the next 5 months. Sorry, honey, I can't take you to the theater. I have best ball to play on Underdog. It's a fun change of pace for me because, simply put, I don't have to micromanage my rosters. Underdog selects the best performing player per position every week. That freedom gives me more of a chance to think about pick'em. Take Pittsburgh and Atlanta. I feel like they're going to target Drake London a lot more without Arthur Smith, so I'm taking higher on receptions. And the Steelers love Najee and goal line packages. That means it's a definite higher on touchdowns. There are plenty of promotions and goodies to make things interesting throughout this special week, so keep an eye out for them. To get in on the festivities, click the link in the description and use promo code UTREE to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash on your first deposit. And a special pick in the lobby only makes it better. But remember, folks, always play responsibly. Don't go overboard on the fun this week. The NFC has had a massive chasm in talent level these past few years, hasn't it? It's been San Francisco, Philadelphia, and the rest. But what about now? New forces are starting to burgeon on the horizon. Young teams, free agent squads, once downtrodden groups, the perpetually mediocre. It's here for us all to enjoy. 16 teams once again fighting to usurp the AFC in glory. I should exclude the Panthers. They just exist. All in. The words that cry throughout every private dinner with Jerry Jones. What does it mean? Would it imply that he'll do anything to make it past the second round? Of course not! Why get modern talent and ability to change the game when you can get the greatest running back tandem in 2018? Zeke's transition to offensive lineman to be determined. Considering Dak's gonna want a small island as compensation and they're screwing over Micah Parsons on his 5th-year option, the gods are starting to unleash their wrath. Sam Williams' ACL is wrecked and Deron Bland's foot will be out of commission for at least a month. I'd work on the alphabet if I were them. CeeDee Lamb held out for weeks and Jerry Boy took his sweet-ass time to cater to his demands. We all knew he was gonna pay up. Jerry loves his stars too much to let them walk. That's why he still thinks he's a good GM. There's one thing the NFL world as a collective would love, it's the Cowboys imploding on themselves like they did against the 7th seed. God, please, it would be so fucking funny. The luster has worn off the playoff run of 2022. That's what tends to happen when the guy that literally carried the team and allowed Dave Brown 2.0 to rob the G-Men blind is gone. To be fair, he wasn't doing much behind this unproven and sloppy offensive line either. In fact, I wonder if Daniel Jones is gonna have his legs ripped off between all the sacks and the fans wanting him gone. The malaise has hit East Rutherford hard, but he finally has a new wideout in Malik Neighbors. Hopefully he won't flop as hard as a certain Galladay did. Or Golden Tate. With the defense changing on the fly with a brand new Brian Burns direct opposing offenses, this team needs some new playmakers to carry them to glory. This is for both sides of the ball. Brian Daboll made magic happen in Buffalo, but with the limited arsenal of the Giants, we'll have to turn bacteria-laden water into a vintage Bordeaux. The mood in Philly is quite sour. Last year's impeccable collapsed into a tush-push spiral of hell as the Eagles hit a breaking point. That's what happens when you trust your defense to Matt fucking Patricia, but what do I know? Life without Jason Kelsey and Fletcher Cox will be tough. And their greatest strength and so-called cheat code might be compromised, but it means nothing if Jalen Hurts is unhappy. They threw him a lot of money, yet he lacked the explosive numbers of his breakout. Rumors have it that the relationship between him and the clown running the show have been compromised. Amin Sirianni's flaws became unbelievably apparent over the past year. And if push comes to shove, Howie Roseman will cut bait with Nick so quickly you could call it Devontae Smith's sporty time. Getting a blue chip back in Saquon should help him out if he's healthy, but the question lies in the defense. Can the secondary stay healthy, and can it not be repeatedly burned like James Bradbury was one-on-one? I'm looking right at that linebacking core. Devin White, it'd be awful nice of you to get back to 2020 form. For all of Southeastern PA's sake. 2018 was a wonderful year, wasn't it? Not for the Redskins, though. They had to deal with the bullshit of Dan Snyder. Today, the sterile commies are still trying to clean the mess made by his cancerous reign. What better way to do that than to bring in the stars of the age for one last ride? So many legends and forgotten souls of a time long past. And the anchor to this old crew is a greenhorn named Jaden Daniels. There's a lot of similarities to RG3 in his time. Hopefully Washington won't fuck him up like they did to that lost soul. Now we ask the true question. You bring in a Pro Bowl squad from 5 years ago, will it win in the modern era? Wait, didn't they try to answer this question back in 2000? Certainly won't help if Jahan Dotson has such a miserable camp he's shipped off to Philly of all places. This team needs the spirit of Sean Taylor to bless them with his power. And as offering for his support, they're giving him a real statue and the proper tribute he deserves. Not the half-assed corpse exhuming that Dan always did to get the heat off him. Sean needs a true honor for once. At this point, the Bears are sitting at a casino playing slots. They'll mindlessly press the quarterback button, hoping to God they either hit the jackpot or a few wild cards. At this point, they'll settle just to break even. The last 20 quarterbacks didn't work out, but you only fail if you stop trying. Caleb Williams is the new savior promised by the McCaskies above. And shall reveal how football's answer to Prince will survive the NFL grind. They'll have plenty of weapons to work with, old and new, as well as a resurging defense that wrecked foes the moment Montez Sweat came to town. I don't know how to say this, but I feel like the Bears have legitimate upside this year? It's so weird to say. I know exactly what you're thinking, and I agree. If the Bears fail with this iteration, they should contract. Just fold the team up, burn that renovated abortion of a stadium down, and start anew by Lake Michigan. As a franchise, these fuckers are hitting like they're Martin Maldonado. One more massive extension and you can call them Andrew Benintendi. Behold the Dan Campbell paradox. His ballsiness is the main reason why the Lions have emerged from perennial lolcow franchise to a potential perennial contender. That same aggression also cost them against the 49ers. If he can evolve to control that chaos, then Detroit will be in very good hands. This is easily the best Lion squad in terms of talent in decades. And to think it happened with Jared Goff, the supposed stopgap. He's returned to his Rams peak and has been rewarded with another handsome extension. A bunch of their young core pieces got one. Now they just need to squeeze a bit more to really get that engine running. Will Jameson Williams realize his upside as an elite receiver by actually playing games? Will Aaron Glenn manage to run a defense that doesn't give up yards en masse? Will they finally be able to stave off the Packer menace? Becoming relevant is hard. Getting to the top is even harder. Detroit's gonna learn this lesson the hard way. Whether or not they reach the apex, that's for fate to decide. I can't keep fucking getting away with it. You already had 2 franchise quarterbacks in succession. Why the hell did you potentially get a third? It's already guaranteed them a future Super Bowl ring with years of hilariously painful playoff failure. That's what you get when you come aboard the Love Boat, where your dreams will come true to the form of $55 million a season. Not bad for a damn good half year, but if he keeps it up, it'll be a bargain. The new Lambeau way is simple. Develop from within, keep the talent around, and supplement that talent with free agent prizes like Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney. Last year was the coming out party. This year, they're hoping, is the continuation of more NFC North supremacy. The hell of Vanilla Joe Barry is gone, nothing can stop them. If they could find a kicker with a dam. Older brother will be absolutely insufferable if they win it yet again. I don't know anyone outside of Wisconsin that would enjoy such a hell. Particularly a cursed sibling to the west of them. It's official. God hates the Vikings. No matter the year, the talent, or the management at the helm, the only constant in Minnesota is perpetual suffering. The age of philandering with cousins is officially ended. Now comes the time of whoring themselves out to Michigan of all places. JJ McCarthy jumped up boards and now he's jumping up to the operating table. He's out for the year with meniscus surgery. Their answer is now Sam Darnold, who has an infinitesimal chance of finally getting his shit together. They're relying on Justin Jefferson, freshly extended and forced to become Atlas. He has to with Hawkinson coming back from surgery and Addison hobbled. If it's from the injury or a summer DUI is up for you to decide. And if you thought the defense would be spared, I have bad news. Daniil Hunter's off to Houston, Mekhi Blackmon tore his ACL last month, and Kyrie Jackson was taken from us way too damn soon. It's a fucking shame he didn't even get the chance to prove himself. Stephon Gilmore's the emergency replacement in the secondary, but their football's Job. What the hell did Minnesota do to deserve this? Was it the Love Boat? Did Jerry Burns swear too much in press conferences? It's gonna be okay, though. You'll get Aaron Rodgers next season and complete the cycle. In celebration of Arthur Smith's ouster at Lenton's burned down every FedEx within a 50-mile radius. With how their offense was unbelievably butchered last season, I don't blame them. All that talent and pedigree at the skill position's undone because Jonnu Smith and Mac Hollins needed their reps. Whatever, he's Pittsburgh's problem now. This calls for overhauling a quarterback. Welcome Kirk Cousins to the land that God apparently forgot. Coming off a torn Achilles and nearly cost them a lot in terms of tampering, but it's still a significant upgrade over. Ugh. Matthew Judon's also here after suffering a season-ending injury early last year. therefore giving a potential answer to the edge rusher question that's long been sought down here. Justin Simmons is here for the secondary too, so even better. But times are getting impatient in Falcon land. Consistent results need to be shown come hell or high water. 28-3 was almost a decade ago now. You have to start healing from those scars eventually. No, I still don't get why they drafted Michael Penix that high. Stop asking. David Tepper is still the owner of this franchise. The future is already doomed to Dunning-Kruger. The answer to a question no one asked will continue to run this team into the ground as he has done since he bought it. We killed the man, but we didn't kill the idea. Perhaps Bryce Young is one of those ideas. Can he be salvaged, or did the Panthers already ruin him? He was sheltered in the preseason, so we honestly don't know the answer to this question. The mood in Charlotte is pretty much sacrifice countless children so the offseason acquisitions pan out and talent develops. They've been piss-poor drafters and it more than shows. Most of anything they bring in instantly falls apart like Miles Sanders. The best news anyone can hear is that it can't get much worse than it did last season. I only say that because there's always the potential it can. Tepper could fire Dave Canale 6 games in and coach the team himself. I'd recommend putting J.C. Horn in a bubble so he can play at least a third of a season. Why do we waste time on the Saints these days? We already know what's gonna happen. Well, it's a modest type to start the year, hideously underachieve despite the talent on their roster, and then magically go on a run of form to end the season, fucking themselves out of a top pick and missing the playoffs. The greatest bounty of mid in the league today. What should give me hope? Derek Carr becoming the most hated man in Louisiana? Dennis Allen somehow still having a job in 2024? Hoping Chase Young finally lives up to potential? The increasingly injury-prone and aging roster? Michael Thomas is already gone and Ryan Ramczyk's career may be over. We wish Mickey Loomis's career was over, but that isn't happening. You will accept the withering of your old guard while holding on to 2010 as it evaporates in your hands. Where's the youth? Pete Werner got extended and Chris Olave's a beast, but anything else? Sad part is, with how pathetic their division is, they'll delude themselves into thinking they just need one more piece. What they really need is an exorcism or a generational draft class pronto. Comforting sight to Bucs fans to see their team at the top. Who needs Brady? Apparently they don't. They'll take advantage of a cupcake division and allow Todd Bowles to keep his job. The Baker to Mike Evans connection is running swimmingly, but how much does Mike have left in the tank? Will they find the true replacement to Ryan Jensen? That's going to be the real difference between another title and letting other mediocrity take hold. How much of their success last year was legitimate and how much was mere luck? Their division was incredibly pathetic, and they can't face an imploding Eagles team in the playoffs every year. Tampa Bay just can't be Randy Gregory and no-show everything. Even the slouches in this league have some punch. Part of me is anticipating regression, especially with losing more than a few pieces on defense. Whether it comes to pass is another entirely. We did say the same thing about them last year. The increasingly painful rebuild shall continue on. This time they'll have a full season of Kyler Murray to show for it. Hopefully. Last year was suffering through an off-key Clayton tune. It can only get better. For the most part, the Cards are trying to build on the foundation that started to set at the end of last year. They were a team that bought in and played hard, but they lacked talent. They answered that somewhat by buying a Maserati. It may be parked next to a dilapidated trailer, but it's a start. I'm just more surprised that Buda Baker's still here. Thought he requested a trade about a year ago. None the matter, the goal is progress. Just keep pushing forward and the Cardinals will escape the Kingsbury rain from hell. Just do us all a favor and keep Kyler healthy, though. The last thing we need is more Desmond Ridder in the NFL. The Cardinals agree. This is going to be a somber season for LA. It's one without the shit-wrecker known as Aaron Donald. I can't blame him for retiring, but the NFL world is weakened because of it. After a strong bounce back, the Rams are looking to maintain such form and then some. The emergence of Kyron Williams and Puka Nacua begins the new age. An underrated offensive line and defense shore up with young talent. As long as that O-line isn't getting suspended or injured. Matthew Stafford reviving to past form and slinging like his Detroit days. Most are still kicking, but it was only a matter of time before the old core started fading. And there will be more to come in the future. But the Rams have never been about sentimentality. They're about living in the present. And the present requires more shots at another ring. Fuck them picks forever and forevermore. And fuck Ernest Jones for some reason. Leave him up for that little? Piss in Sean McVay's cereal or something? Getting close to the top of the mountain only to fall off like a cruel game of cliffhangers. Just over the correct amount to suffer a wave of severe injuries. Some were revelations during the big game like Dre Greenlaw. Some are others that occur later like Drake Jackson. Others are of the cap crunch variety. This year is likely the last great chance the Niners will have. There's a certain Mr. Irrelevant that needs to be paid the big bucks, and he'll be getting at least $60 million a season. With those stats, it's a given. But the weapons Brock has may change. Brendan Ayuk was allegedly on the way out. I say allegedly because they talked about a trade while playing chicken with him in front of train tracks. Look, you either extend him or trade him to Pittsburgh. Yet Ayuk accepted the original offer after a month of cock teasing because Denver didn't want to give up Courtland Sutton. The Denver Broncos are now my enemy. And the thing is, the Ayuk holdout isn't even the most critical one. That would be Trent Williams. He was more than willing to miss games to prove his point, but the 49ers realize they need him badly. Definitely the right move, but the cap hell after this season will put most Saints off seasons to shame. There's gonna be no better chance than this. The expectations are sky high, but that only makes the potential fall harder. Play this year for Ricky Pearsall. Even if he'll be back this year, do it for him. Is Seattle gonna stop teasing us and reach the next echelon that we were thinking they could be? Or will it be continued stagnation? After coming up short, they're picking up the pieces in many ways. The defense has gotten quite the overhaul, especially in the safety ranks. Hey, you win some Russ trades, you lose some Jamal Adams deals. It happens. They're doing anything to try and stop opponents running all over them. It was their undoing, which was all but the impetus for their overhauling. Can we finally have a healthy and fully functioning secondary? Please? Seattle has quality team upside, but are they really a Super Bowl contender? I'd say maybe if the 49ers suffer horrific plague again this season. 2024 is a reset from the stale ending to Pete Carroll's tenure. I'm still surprised they cut bait, but I'm interested to see what Mike McDonald does here. He built great defenses in Baltimore. Can he do it in the Emerald City? They better hope he can. As you can tell, things are a bit less linear than in the past. New suitors are eager to stake the claim from the usual suspects. But the ones at the top will only relinquish such honor from their cold, lifeless hands. I think this year is a little of both. The NFC East has always been a conference that changes hands every year, so the Eagles will reclaim it for themselves. As for the NFC North, different story. I say Detroit reclaims it, but a few teams are hot on their tail. The NFC South, the conference we wish could be a race, goes to Atlanta simply by no Arthur Smith. And the NFC West, barring horrific injury, will be San Francisco's to lose yet again. Wildcards are a much trickier guess. Yet I believe that Green Bay, Dallas, and Chicago take them. There are more than a few teams that I consider for these three spots, so I'm not dismissing them at all. But the NFC's just weird like that. It'll probably be wonkier than I expect.
At the Oregon 41, Chuck with all kinds